When I heard us read St. Paul's confession just a moment ago, that he attempted to make himself a slave or a servant to all so that he could maximize his witness for Christ, I couldn't help but start wondering about how exhausted he must have felt. The burden, the weight, especially when he was working with challenging or difficult people. We read a moment ago that St. Paul says that he worked at being weak to reach the weak. And he did it as an act of love. And I suspect that he worked at being strong in order to connect with the strong, hoping to, as he says, become all things to all people, that he might win by all means a few. Sounds exhausting. Carol Houselander, that wonderful early 20th century English mystic and writer and, well, eccentric, worked for years among difficult people and challenges. She cared for troubled children and devoted herself to the care of refugees. And when she had time to write, she often wrote about life's demands. And she did so in one particular book entitled A Child in Winter. She writes, "The expensive people are those who, because they are not simple, make complicated demands. People to whom we cannot respond spontaneously and simply without anxiety. They need not be abnormal to exact these complicated responses. It is enough that they should be untruthful. It is enough that they be touchy or hypersensitive or have an exaggerated idea of their own importance, or who often strike a pose, have a posture. One which may have become second nature, but is not what they really are. With all such people, we are bound to experience a little hitch in our response." Wonderful phrase. And then she continues, "In time, when dealing with difficult people and circumstances, in time our relationship with them becomes unreal. If we have to consider every word, if we have to consider every act in their company, in case it hurts their feelings or offends their dignity, we become strained in their company. They are costing us dearly in psychological energy." You feel the exhaustion in those words. Maybe your own exhaustion. This might have something to do with why Jesus comes up missing early one morning. In today's gospel reading, St. Mark tells us that Jesus goes out to a deserted place while it is still dark, before morning light. He does so in order to pray, in order to deal with it, as we would say today. And his disciples, when they finally locate him, they say to him, "Everyone is searching for you." It seems that even his own disciples are incapable of being without him. Well, I don't know exactly what to do with all of this other than to feel what may be utter exhaustion at play. We get the impression that the reason Jesus goes to Simon's house is to get out of the public eye. And wouldn't you know it, before he can sit down, he's faced with a situation in which he must deal with Simon's mother-in-law's fever. And we're told within hours of touching her, he's busy again, curing people who are sick and possessed. And St. Mark ends this episode by saying the whole city was gathered around the door, which clearly is hyperbole. The whole city wasn't gathering around the door. But what St. Mark wants to paint for us is this picture of the overwhelming pace and the demands of a life devoted to loving other people. Have you ever wondered, did Jesus grow tired of the demands placed on him? There's no shame in admitting that we, along with Jesus, know exhaustion. I suspect he felt it. I'm not at this moment feeling exhausted, but I know what it feels like. And you? Ask any mother nursing her newborn who finds just a quiet corner in a room long enough to wonder to herself if she can keep the pace, wondering if she can expend the kind of time and care required in keeping this baby alive for another 12 hours, let alone the 12 years staring her in the face. To use Houselander's lovely term, life doesn't have to seem abnormal for it to drain us and to leave us almost utterly dry. Friends in Christ, today's readings bring us face to face with costly love. Is there any other? If love, I'm not talking about fascination or boredom that leads to surface affection. I'm talking about real love, costly love. If love has taken us into a career, if love has taken us into a marriage or a friendship, or into a task of helping someone in need, if love is leading you into political office or into police work, if love is leading you into jury duty or justice work to address century-long inequities, if love is leading you into ministry or management, Well, St. Paul reminds us that we better prepare to expend nearly all we have at any given moment. There is a question lurking in today's first reading from Paul's first letter to the Corinthians. For what are we saving ourselves? Well, both Paul and Jesus seem to agree. They would suggest that we spend it all. Spend it all. Spend all you've got. Sure, slip away to a deserted place as needed, of course. Yes, be particularly aware of hypersensitive people. You know, the touchy people who whine a lot. Be careful. They are hard to be with. Yes, they are. Both Paul and Jesus, I suspect, would agree. But remember, dear friends, as I am trying to remember myself, that even the most expensive people, to use Houselander's word, even the most expensive people are worthy of God's love. And sometimes God's love is the only love that is left to dispense. There's no shame in admitting this. Not on a Sunday with readings like these. On this first Sunday of a new month, a day we will gather around the Lord's table, the one you find in your home or apartment. Let us acknowledge that the demands on our lives are heavy and costly. We will likely end up drained. And the remedy, vacation, well, yes, if you can squeeze it in and pay for it. But of course, a more immediate remedy is to find a deserted place to pray. Oh, that quiet prayer would become our new normal. Next Sunday, dear friends, Transfiguration Sunday concludes the Advent, Christmas, Epiphany cycle. A Sunday that will expose us to sheer light and wonder and mystery. Enough of it all. Enough of what we need to enter into the challenging season of Lent. For we will soon enter into deep and penetrating mysteries, as if entering the very heart of God. There's room there in the heart of God. There's room enough for all of us, you know. Room enough for all and everyone. Thanks be to God.